Hello. So I decided to go ahead and do a reading for Imbolc, even though I am a few days late. Imbolc was February 1st to the 2nd, and it's a reading that I wanted to do because it is the first light of winter, and many of you are noticing that our days are getting longer, which has been wonderful. Doesn't mean warmer temperatures, but we're getting more light, and that light slowly has us coming out of our hibernation time of just staying indoors, being more, productive, but more indoors. This first light of winter encourages us to start taking all our energy that we've been retaining and producing during the winter months, and to start getting ready for spring, which will be March 20th, 21st of this year. And I got a head start and was really inspired by seeing a lot of tulips out here in the Pacific Northwest that have been popping up into stores. So I went ahead, and these are already late bloomers. They're already fully coming out and bloom. So I have my red ones here to the left and these beautiful multicolored ones. I love tulips during this time of the year because of that colorful energy and uplifting feeling that I get when I see tulips. And the same with roses. Roses here in Oregon just haven't quite bloomed yet. That's going to still be a few months away. I do see smaller roses, but I am going to wait for those. But for now, these are my roses to shed some light for me during this time of the year. So I wanted to share this with you and just have you hopefully be inspired by, the color that and the energy that we're moving towards as we get closer to spring. So I have a makeshift setup here for this reading that I'm going to do with Imbolc. I have white candle just for clarity and for purity. The yellow candle is for uplifting, is for lightness and happiness. Not that you have to be happy, but if you're in a situation where you need something to kind of bring up this energy, this vibration higher, I place this yellow candle here because we are in this transitional season going from winter into spring, and we're right in Imbolc. So I brought the yellow candle out here, and then I want to share with you very quickly. This is moss agate. It's kind of hard to see, but it's green. And it doesn't have the little moss-like spidery veins that we would see with moss agate. There's different forms of moss agate, but this one I enjoy because it is a deep green color. I've been no stranger. I've been not strange for me, but I've been really gravitating towards green. But this I like because it has flecks in it. And it shows the movement of what's going on. Green is of grounding. Green is of nurturing and healing. And so this green moss agate, I came across online. It's a simple stone. I don't gravitate too much to anything fancy. But this I like. This I liked. It's polished. It's humbled. So it's not in its raw state. The raw state looks completely different. It's a lighter green. It's more grittier. But this is what it looks like in its finished state. So I don't know. I felt it. I liked it. It also looks very cosmic with all the flecks. I know we got the reflection of the lights above. But there's all these flecks in here that makes it look very cosmic, like when you look up to the stars. So this here is for me for grounding, the green. for nurturing, and for healing. So also here, this was a surprise gift to me by Justin Michael, fellow YouTuber, who this was gifted to me over the summer. This was included in something that he sent me, and this is an actual. This is wonderful horn from a deer. I think he was saying when he went up to a hike up in the hills or mountains in his town outside of Pittsburgh, I think, or Philadelphia. I think he's from Philadelphia. Anyhow, in Pennsylvania, he says he finds these when it's that time of the year and the elks and the deer start shedding their horns. So he sent this to me, and I like it very much because I like stag energy, stag in reference to the deer for something authoritative power, father-like strength and guidance. But this I use more for protection. So Spirit, my feline companion, automatically loved this and started gnawing on it and chewing on it. So he hasn't gone to it since, but this is wonderful. An actual antler, one of the horns. So anyhow, I keep this here for that protection, masculine energy. So just an introduction of some of the tools I have here. Here's the crow. As the messenger, as the guide. I always show this in my photos, or I keep it off to the side when I do readings. So this is pretty much a staple for me. And then here, this is the cross quarters. This is I could call it an amulet. It's going to be kind of hard to see. I don't know if it's going to even focus. It's very small, but it's double-sided. And it's basically the wheel of the year, different colors. This is more like a bluish color showing Samhain, Yule, Imbolc, and the same here, but here we have the wheel representing Earth, and then here we have the pentacle for protection. So I keep this standing by and bring it out as guidance. So regarding this reading, I'm keeping it very simple because as I've mentioned in my last community posts, I'm on an interpersonal journey with the Hermit, which is my birth year card, and I'm maintaining that. So I'm not going to be showing my face for a while, not because anything has happened to me visually or anything like that. I just want people to listen to my words and not be distracted by looking at me, the shape of my face, what I'm doing with my hair, if I am doing anything with my hair, anything like that. I want people to kind of focus on what I have to say and to pay attention more towards the cards. So I will rise up. I will show my face again, but for now, this is how I'm feeling. The decks I have here, I'm simplifying it. This is the Wildwood Tarot. I have not brought this deck out in a while. It was speaking to me a little bit over the holidays, and then I was changing residences, and then energy shifted, and things have been moving around very interestingly for me. So there's some decks that I've been wanting to work with, but my focus has been called on to other things. So I figure since we are going into our moving towards spring, moving towards our waxing energy, I thought it'd be perfect to bring out the Wildwood Tarot and to usher in Imbolc for this reading. Here, this is the Wildwood Tarot. Here I have Maxine Miller's The Magical Botanical Oracle, which I started reading with, and then, like I said, all the shifts that had been going on, I had to put aside. And I thought, just kind of haphazardly, just to bring this deck and just to pull a card, not one card, not to do a full reading unless I feel called to. I'm going to do this reading right here in front of you, so it's not already pre-laid out. So it's going to be a spontaneous reading to welcome in this energy of Imbolc. Now, the Magical Botanical Oracle deals with plant energy, specific plants that people who practice the craft, individuals who practice the craft, magic, witchcraft, hedge witches, people who work with plants and herbs and stuff like that. The plants that are listed in this book are just a few of what's out there, what you can use for magical properties. And so when I had Maxine Miller on my channel 2 months ago, these herbs that her and Christopher worked with or decided to put in this book are ones that were very personal to them and ones that they've explored, but also ones that they feel are very important to include in a practice when working with plants. So these are selections, even though there's many herbs and plants out there to work with your metaphysical practice, these are ones that are specifically hand selected, you could say, by Maxine and Christopher Penczak. Christopher Penczak is the other author, and it's the author of the Magical Oracle deck, and Maxine was the illustrator. They both collaborate, so they both exchanged their experiences and energies with the herbs and created this wonderful deck. So I'm going to pull a card or two from that. Now, with the Wildwood Tarot, this is our major arcana and this is the minor arcana. And I separate the two because I was feeling intuitively to just go ahead, and I normally do this with the Witch's Oracle and then I pull another deck to do a follow-up reading. I'm going to be working with the guide for Imbolc between now and Ostara when we move into spring. I decided to just separate the major arcana, and whatever card I select or I'm guided to, that's going to be my focus. This could be the focus for everyone else who's reading this, but I want to just give you my thoughts on this. So for the season of Ostara, or I'm sorry, for Imbolc, the card that I pick here from the major arcana is going to be the primary guide. And that's normally how I do my readings for each of the solstices and equinoxes and the cross quarters. I work with the Witch's Oracle. I pull one card, and that's the guide and energy for that season or for during that cross quarter. And then I pull cards from a different deck to interpret the general feeling and overall mood of and direction for that season. But instead, I'm just condensing it down to one deck. And I want to work with this deck because I'm also outside the flowers. I've been reading a little bit about plants, and this is a wonderful deck to work with, the Magical Oracle. There's quite a few decks, as some of you know, that are out there that deal with working with the magical properties of herbs and flowers. There's many decks and oracles that are available, so you may want to check those out if you want to explore working with those properties, working with plants and flowers as guidance into your practice. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead, and I'm going to start with, and I'm going to move this up here because I am off at an angle even though I'm set up straight on so that you can view this. So I'm going to pull a card. Okay, let me move over here. Okay, I'm going to shuffle very awkwardly here. Oops, okay. And that'll be the card even though I just shuffled 2 times. Okay, the World Tree. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to put this aside here. This is going to be a very straightforward reading. Okay, so I'm going to pull 3 cards. Okay, so from Imbolc, so like from February 1st, 2nd to March 20th, 21st of this year for spring. This is my reading to you for that time frame. And let's see what guidance is needed. Okay, and again, this is our waxing time of the year. So waxing is gaining energy, gaining light. Stamina slowly starts building up as we get exposed to longer days. Okay, so let's do this. I'll leave this here. Okay, so 1 card from the top, bottom. This will be our focus. Oh, wonderful. Okay, now these cards are extremely glossy. So I will move these up so that you could see, but my concern is that the glare is going to come in and maybe wash it out a little bit. So let's focus here. Okay, the world tree. Now this is a wonderful card to pull specifically because of the depiction that we see here of the world tree. We actually see the waxing and waning of the stages of the tree and its growth. Okay, so here we see the changing of colors. We have no branches here, so this could represent our winter season. We have autumn, we have summer, and then we have spring. Okay, so spring, we're starting to see the colors bloom. Summer at its fullness. Okay, and then we get the changing of the colors, autumn. And then, of course, winter, when all the trees, or when all the limbs and the leaves have fallen. The world tree here, this is our cycle. This is the way that we go through things every year. We go through our seasonal change. We go through growth. We gain. We succeed. We look back at what has been accomplished. And this is like our harvest season. We start taking in what has been gained during this time of the year. And then this is a time where we go within and we start rebuilding. And we start working with the forces and tools and resources that we have to start building in and start building this energy again. So with this card here during Imbolc, this is just a reminder of the importance of our seasons and what we can learn from each phase of the years that we move through, right? Each year we go through these seasons. What do we learn during this time? What are we learning right now as we enter Imbolc? Okay, we're still in our winter season, but we're wrapping it up. We're at the tail end of it. So right now we're somewhere in between these 2 stages. Okay, and here we have the labyrinth. The labyrinth is just that. It's a constant pattern, circle of doing things. But each time when we get out, we learn something new, and we apply what we learn each year, each season, into the next season, into the next year, and we grow from it. If we don't do anything, we just stay here. Okay, so this is our card of guidance for Imbolc. Let's just kind of remember where we are right now. We're in this in-between phase, but we need to start getting ready, and we need to be earnest in our goals and what we want to do. Okay, and this is repetitive. This is happening every year. We're going to learn, we're going to fall back, we're going to move forward. Whatever we should not be doing is being stagnant, because if we are being stagnant, then we're just going to be getting this. We're not going to grow, and we're going to fail. And these roots will start suffering. This is our support system. And so this will start failing us because we're not doing the work that's needed to sustain that. This is our body. This is ourselves, all the changes that we go in. Okay, so look at these roots here. They're very strong, so we need to maintain that. Okay, so each season as we move through these different changes, look at what we're working with. Look at our resources again. What's there to sustain us? What's there that's holding us back? If anything's holding us back and dying our energy, we have to let go of it. Okay, and so once we unbind those kinds of inhabitants that's holding us, suffocating us, depleting us, then we can move forward. Okay, the world tree is of success, is of completion. It could be physical, mental, emotional. It could be all of those things all in one. That's all how you approach it. Okay, so again, this is our card of guidance during this time of Imbolc. Okay, just we're right in between here, spring, summer, fall or harvest season, and then winter. So we're right in between. We have to start again looking at the energy that we need to be around with, what's influencing us, what's sustaining us, and what's holding us back. Okay, so with that guidance, I pulled these 3 cards. Now the reason why I pulled this card in particular, or I pulled the middle card out, is when I do 3-card readings, the middle card is basically, I call it the fulcrum. Fulcrum is that little triangle that we see on a linear plane. You know, this is the fulcrum right here. This is what's balancing the situation. So here, the 8 of bows is just that. It's the fulcrum. So here we have hearth fire. And this card is going to be the support for these 2 cards for Imbolc between now and March 20th and 21st for our Astara spring season. So this is wonderful energy. We're seeing a building up. We're seeing a movement of fire. We're seeing camaraderie. We're seeing a coming together. Hearth fire. Now this doesn't have to be anything at a global level, because you know right now everything is just, the world is doing what it's doing. It's revealing, it's hurting, it's bleeding, it's healing, it's trying to recover, it's going through a lot, and we are part of this. So here with the 8 of bows, I almost want to read this card in the sense of seeing the light in things. Even though things are very challenging, we have to keep this energy bright. That's why, again, I have the white and yellow candles to keep things light, to keep things moving. A few days ago, I was in a situation where I was with someone who is very negative, someone very vocal. Person was intoxicated but was very angry about certain things and made it very clear and got into people's faces, and that energy is very it's very difficult, it's very hard, but it's also revealing and needs to be shared. We cannot tell someone to be quiet because they are angry and they're venting, so on and so forth. They need to have that outlet, and all what we can do is listen. So in lieu of that, this is a form of self-expression. Here we're sharing a commonality, but this energy is of sticking together and working through things, whether it's through words, it's whether through energy. This hearth fire, this fire is what brings people together. It's that light. We can use the hearth fire here in reference to the sun. You know, when that sun peeks out after days of it being cloudy or whatnot, people start feeling lighter. You know, they start feeling more comfortable. And so it eases the body, it eases the mind. So when you can, if you don't have access to light in regards to sunlight, burn candles. Surround yourself with energy, light that will give you this kind of uplifting, higher vibration. Don't want to do dark candles or anything, because that's inner work. The work here that I have here with these candles and these tulips is outer work. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm in my hermit phase. So I'm trying to bring a moment of light. Remember, the hermit has that lantern, and this is what I'm bringing here. I want to bring a little bit more light into the journey that I've been going through, because I feel it's time. I feel that I need a little bit more light at this juncture of where we are in the seasons. Okay, so here, okay, I'm going to pull over these other two. So remember, we got hearth. Interesting way of fire. I got bows, stones. I got two stones here. Stones relates to the earth element. There's no layout here. I just connect the cards and the energy together. So here is Six of Stones. Exploitation. Remember what I was saying a moment ago about resources? I'm going to bring the world tree back. Okay? This is an example of where we can go wrong in regards to not caring and not doing the work and utilizing what influences we have out there. Okay, so remember what I was saying here, we have all these stages, but here with the Six of Stones, we're seeing how these sources weren't, again, properly used influences. There are things that are out there that are right in front of us that we may be fearful to approach and to use because of the potential outcome of not knowing what's going to happen. Here, I feel with the Six of Stones, this is a scene of sources that weren't taken care of. Look at the land in this card. It's completely barren. You know, we have a fire in the background. We have barren trees. Everything is depleted. Okay. Now, the word here, exploitation, is showing how, again, how sources, influences that are out there were wrongly used or wrongly understood. The tools that they had here, maybe they worked too hard. They didn't know when to stop, or they didn't know how to work with those influences and sources properly. And so it's a way of educating, understanding what you are working with. Okay, if you are handed a tool, if you are handed an assignment, and it's something that you're not familiar with, some people just jump in and they just start doing it and hoping as they're flipping through things or going through things that they'll figure it out. I think that's very risky. I feel here with the Six of Stones, this is a lack of being prepared. And I think this is a time right now, especially as this energy is waxing, to get ready for what's going to be waiting for us. Okay? Here we're seeing famine. We're just not seeing things that were handled in a responsible way. Or maybe it was responsible, but it just wasn't enough. Okay, so this is like, this card here also means maybe misjudging a situation as well. So when it comes to moving forward, okay, remember we still have the world tree and we have this hearth fire. Let's be mindful about what we're getting ourselves into or what we're in already. Okay, do not want to jump the gun. I feel it's best to be informed about what's going on. whatever's happening in your life right now or what may be happening in the future. Take things very carefully. This is a time right now for everyone. We have to be very careful, but we can't also be fearful at the same time. We need to move, but we got to move cautiously. Okay. But in turn, you know, I'm not saying that we have to be serious all the time. This is a lighthearted card, but my focus with this card is more on community and working with people who are like-minded, people who feel and see and think the same as you. Okay, and find that influence, find that inspiration in the light. Okay, our last card here, before I pull from the Magical Botanical Oracle, I got here 4 of Stones. Okay, I mentioned about protection. I have the stag antler here, and here we have a baby deer here. Now, this is interesting too, okay? We have here protection. I'm steering away from any interpretations that are related to the Rider-Waite-Smith, any Doth influences. I want to work primarily on the visuals and the energy that I'm feeling with this card. Now here I feel there are moments here with the 4 of Stones. It's about foundation. I think and feel with this card is that as we're moving things forward and we're building where we want to be. Okay, and then of course we see the light coming up here, or setting, because we have our could be daylight or before sunrise. We have 2 different scenarios. This could be the early day, dawn, or this could be the later day, dusk. We're seeing this transition. Either way, we are still finding a place where we need to have a form of coverage, a form of, as we are moving towards things and building things, or in this case, I'm going to flip this around, maybe rebuilding from the situation. Okay, look at the energy, how different it is. Okay, here is stability, here things are just, it's barren, there's no, everything is out of control, there's nothing left. Here we are protected, we're taking things slow. It's a different feel from this 4 of Stones. Here we are nestled, we are protected, we're taking things as it comes. And again, this is a deer, so this is a doe. So we're almost taking, not a naive, but we're taking a fresh perspective of how things have been building up or where we want things to go. Okay, it is barren here, but we don't see any chaos. We're seeing, I feel in this card, a transition of a new beginning as something is ending, because we are in this in-between phase. As I mentioned, this could be dawn or this could be dusk. It could be both. Okay, but either way, we're taking this moment to really reflect and look back on how things have been coming together thus far in the new year, or since our winter season, and where we want to move things towards the spring season come March. So with these cards here, I feel with our fulcrum of this reading, we should keep this always in our heart. We should always keep our light, always find that belief, find that guidance, that in spite of how things are going, we still have that light. And as I mentioned, I felt like my Hermit journey right now, I needed more light. So I brought in these 2 colors. And the tulips are a wonderful help as well for my energy, because this journey has been quite draining in many different ways. And I can only, I'm not going to hope but I'm looking forward to seeing what spring's going to hold ahead. With that being said, let's go ahead and work with the Magical Botanical. I'm just going to pull one card. Okay. Let's see what we got here. It feels good to just hold these tarot cards. I've been reading a few books in the last few weeks. I'm almost done with one, and exploring different aspects of magic and working with herb energy, also feng shui when moving into a new space, how the layout plays an influence. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see if I get a jumper card. I don't feel this is going to be a jumper deck. Okay, we'll do one more. Let's try that again. Okay, I'm being called to pull a card in the middle. Okay, this is it. All right, so what this card here is going to represent is just the energy. I have ivy. Okay, and the artist of this deck is Maxine Miller. It's a very detailed deck. It's kind of hard to get this focused. Let's see if it'll focus now. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, Maxine's work is just stunning. All pen and ink, very detailed. So ivy. Okay, what do we think and feel when we see ivy? Ivy is one of these things where I feel it's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Ivy can be very beautiful because of its the way it grows. It's a very sustaining foliage. It's overflowing. It has a lot of energy. It keeps growing. Ivy for me is a form of endurance. And when ivy grows, and it grows in abundance, as we could see here, coming from underneath the goddess here, it can also be very choking. It can also be smothering. So this energy of ivy, when it comes to abundance and flowing energy, what's important with ivy, especially if you're growing it in a certain manner, or this energy, if you're trying to grow abundance and draw strength at the same time, it's wonderful to let it grow, because that's how ivy is. But we also want to contain it. We want to direct where this energy is going. And if we let ivy just grow, as we see in buildings and in some cases houses, it can supersede and overtake a situation or an environment, and it can be smothering. With ivy here, I'm just going to read a little bit here from the book. Let's see here. The spirit medicine of ivy is one of grounding in the material and in the body, even when to do so is painful. When we experience shock and trauma, our consciousness often flees the body, and if that state lingers, it leads to a range of spiritual and psychological problems. Ivy coaxes us back to our body to be grounded, rooted, and centered, particularly when we may feel like life is not worth living and and do not want to survive the trauma. I like what's written here. Ivy helps us reach for that light, but survive in the dark times until the light of our lives return. I'm not going to read anymore, because this is obviously talking about the strength of oneself. and that fortitude that ivy has. And I did mention about abundance as well. That's the energy that I was picking over overabundance, overgrowth. But also we have the healing aspect of what was written about grounding and helping us bring things back to the roots, bring back ourselves to where we need to be. So this is perfect. I feel that the card of ivy works good, probably potentially with this, with the 6 of stones here. When things are out of control, what can we do? What can we bring in? What energy can we bring in to bring us back to being not so much centered, but just rooted, heavily rooted? But also the one thing I want to point out with ivy again is we don't want too much. Okay, we need, if we have this energy, we still need other things to grow around it. Sometimes in it, sometimes ivy is already in a situation, there's other things that are trying to move through and it's too much. So I still feel this energy needs to be contained to a certain extent, so that other things can move in and share that space as well with the plant of ivy. Okay, so I feel this is a wonderful reading here for Imbolc with the world tree. Okay, again, we got the roots, we have the different stages that we have up ahead this year, and learning how to work with the energy of transitional Sabbats. You know, we have Imbolc, and then we're going to have Beltane, and then we are going to have Litha, I'm sorry, not Litha, Lunisad, and then we're going to have Samhain. I think I may have missed one other Sabbath there, but those are the cross quarters. The cross quarters are the Sabbats that come in between our seasons. So Imbolc is in between our winter season and our spring season. So this is, again, transitional time. Cross quarters are transitional time periods. And it can be awkward for some people. But again, the emphasis of this reading here is light, camaraderie, connecting with people who see the potential of what's up ahead. Here, we have to watch our resources. Let's be prepared. Let's be informed about what's going on before actually going in and taking action. Or if we're already in the state, what can we learn from? What did we miss? What was amiss? But in the same time, as we're doing this work, taking this moment for grounding, building a foundation with our 4 of stones. Okay, we have the 4 stones. We have the large stone that is supporting these three stones and providing a moment of protection. A moment to just reflect and see what has been done so far and what's waiting for us up ahead. Okay. So that's my reading for you for Imbolc and ivy from the Magical Botanical Garden for grounding and strength during times that are a little bit more challenging. Okay, but again, let's keep the knowledge and the experience that we gain with the world tree. This again is the guide and the direction that I would like to keep during this time of the year of as we go in between our seasons and get ready for spring. Alrighty, you have a wonderful day, week. Everyone, any questions? Feel free to leave them in the comments. I will be back soon. And thank you for listening. Hope you're having a wonderful Imbolc, and I will see you between now and Ostara. Have a wonderful day. I will see you again soon.